Hello students, welcome to Shubhra Ranjan IAS. My name is Shubhanshu Jaiswal and let's continue our daily current affairs practice. Now in question 1 today we are having consider the following statements with respect to Kolleru Lake. So lakes and rivers, one of the favorite areas of UPSC. So be prepared. Now the question says number 1, it is located in the state of Tamil Nadu. Now this statement is incorrect. Why? Because Kolleru Lake is not located in Tamil Nadu but is located in your Andhra Pradesh. Fine. In the northeastern part of your Andhra Pradesh. Fine. So the location of all the important lakes, at least, be it Sambar Lake, Wooler Lake, Kolleru Lake, Chilika Lake, Pulikat, etc. You need to remember nicely. Fine. Now, second statement, it is the largest shallow freshwater lake in Asia. So one information is this. Located between Krishna and Godavari Delta in India. Fine. So second statement, second information is here. Here both the statements, both the informations are correct. So overall this statement is correct. Number 3, it is designated as wetland of international importance under the Ramsar Convention. So this statement is also correct. It is one of the Ramsar sites in India. Fine. So here 2 and 3 would be the right answer. So they're asking you the correct option. Go for this one. Fine. Now what else is you need to remember from this is number 1, just have a quick look. Fine. Don't think that map is blurry. Just try to see the concept. So here you have the important southern rivers, Godavari River, Krishna River and Kaveri. Now in between Godavari and Krishna, look at this particular part. If you zoom in, then in between the Godavari Delta and Krishna Delta, you have this Kolleru Lake. Fine. And also if you look further, then this Kolleru Lake is actually getting water. It is being fed by this Tamiluru stream. And the important district nearby is Elluru. Fine. Also the important creek here associated is Gogaleru Creek. Fine. So these are the important things which you need to keep in mind. Fine. Now why Kolleru Lake is in the news? It is because of the recent update from Andhra Pradesh Forest Department. So what they have said, they are trying to create an eco-sensitive zone around Kolleru Wildlife Sanctuary, and the developments are happening in this regard. Now the question arises, what is this eco-sensitive zone? Understand the region around this wildlife sanctuary. Suppose this is your wildlife sanctuary. Fine. Here species are here. Fine. In the outer area, human activities are going on, economic activities are going on. Don't you think that in the border area there will be man versus nature conflict? Fine. So to avoid that, what is done usually, up to some area, a kind of buffer is created where the activities are controlled. How? By prohibiting few activities and regulating few activities. So to minimize the man versus animal conflict and to preserve the sanctity of this wildlife sanctuary or natural park. This is the purpose of this eco-sensitive zone. So such zone is being created for this Kolleru Wildlife Sanctuary. Right? So that is how the updates are coming for this, and it is in the news. Rest of the things, yes, largest freshwater lake in India and largest shallow freshwater lake in Asia. Fine. Located between here. And one important thing that you need to remember, indicator species of this particular lake is grey pelican. You can have a look. Now what are indicator species? These are those particular species whose presence or absence tells about the environment, tells about the health of the ecosystem. So you can imagine the presence or absence of this particular species will tell you about the overall ecosystem of Kolleru Lake. Fine. So just keep this in mind. Rest of the things, that yes, it is a wildlife sanctuary and currently it is also having the status of Ramsar wetland. Fine. Now, the Hakki Pikki tribe, often seen in the news, is primarily found in which Indian state? So here the correct answer would be Karnataka. However, UPSC is not going to ask such a simple thing. They will definitely twist it. So be prepared. Now, speaking of Hakki Pikki tribe, first of all, what does this Hakki Pikki means? Hakki in Kannada means bird and Pikki means to catch. So understand, Hakki Pikki tribe is actually a tribe which has occupation, which has work related to catching of birds or hunting, etc. Fine. However, this is their traditional work. In contemporary era, they have started doing other works related to forest products like your medicines, herbal products, fine, Ayurveda medicines, etc. Now, Hakki Pikki tribe has been in news for multiple times this year. Earlier in 2023 January, and now once again in this month. Fine. Now, why it was here? Because recently we discussed that now they have shifted to traditional medicines, etc. and products like these. So they are selling it not just in India, but they are more selling it more in the Sudan, African nation. Now, in January, what happened? Conflict happened here, and this tribe was eventually evacuated by government of India by Operation Kaveri. Fine. That is why it was in the news. You can look this. You can look at the picture. Now, what has happened now? Recently, many people from this community have got the title deeds. This is basically a kind of recognition from government's end for their land on which they have been cultivating for many years. So these two are the developments in which because of which this tribes becomes important. Fine. Now, apart from this, one more thing which you need to keep in mind is that this tribe is actually matriarchal. So you can also use in your society paper. Fine. So what is matriarchal? Basically here the power, the political power, the important decisions are being taken by women. Fine. And it is recognized as scheduled tribe. So these are the important things which you need to remember for Hakki Pikki tribe. Fine. Now let's go ahead. Okay, next question. Consider the following statements with reference to Nobel Prize in Literature. We have already discussed questions on Nobel Prize on Medicine, on Chemistry. Now today on Literature. Number one, in 2023, this prize has been awarded to Norwegian author John Olof Foss for his innovative plays and prose which give voice to the unsayable. So yes, this statement is correct, and he has got the Nobel Prize for Literature in 2023. Now, second statement, the first Nobel Prize in Literature was awarded to Rabindranath Tagore in 1901 for his poetry collections Gitanjali. So here this particular statement is actually a blend of whites and blacks. It is correct and incorrect. Now, first Nobel Prize in Literature was actually not awarded to Rabindranath. It was awarded to a Sweden poet. Fine. Now, second part, that he was awarded in 1901. This is again incorrect. The year in which he got the prize was 1913. And the work for which he got the prize, that is Gitanjali, this particular part is correct. He got this Gitanjali is his masterpiece for which he got the Nobel Prize for Literature. Fine. So here the statement only one would be the right option and statement one is the right. Fine. So Nobel Prize, no need to go into much details. Fine. Just have a look. He is John Olof Foss and he's obviously our Rabindranath Tagore. Fine. Now, the last question, but very important, be very careful. With reference to second global amphibian assessment, consider the following statements. So this particular study has been done, assessment has been done, for which the results have come and they are quite alarming. So look at the statements now. It is conducted by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change of India. Now you can use the common sense. It is global and very important assessment. So it is not just going to be the Indian scientist. Such a big assessment would require many people, many organizations. So here it is not being done by Ministry of Environment of India, but various organizations are there. More than 2000 scientists are there who are working for this assessment. So the first statement is incorrect. Second, the salamanders are the most vulnerable species, of which 3 of every 5 species are threatened. So yes, this particular statement is actually one of the key findings of this study. And salamanders are basically, if you don't know, they are lizard-like creatures. So your amphibians, they are broadly divided into 3 categories. Amphibians, I hope you know, who can survive both on land and water. So one is this salamanders, one is your frogs and toad, and third is like a worm. Okay, it's not exactly worm, but it is much like that. So this part is very minor. Frog and toad and salamanders, here the results are very alarming, the primarily being that salamanders are the most vulnerable species. So these are like lizard like creatures who have, you know, small limbs and tail, obviously, etc. Fine. So just keep this in mind. Now, amphibians can be found in every part of the world except for Antarctica. Yes, although they are not homogeneously divided, they are not equally spreaded, but still you can find them in every part of the world. So here 2 and 3 would be the right option. They are asking the correct. So go for this. Fine. Now coming back to what exactly is this global amphibian assessment. It is actually the study of all the amphibians who are in the threatened list of IUCN. Okay, now what is threatened list? It comprises of basically these 3 categories: your critically endangered species, and vulnerable. So this club is known as threatened list of IUCN, and इसमें जितनी भी species है उनमें से सारे amphibians को निकाला गया और उनकी स्टडी करी गई है. Fine. Their threat, their decline, increase or decrease in the population, their habitat, etc. Fine. That is why it is such an important study. Fine. Now let's go ahead. Now, so key findings. What are the key findings? 41% of amphibians are globally threatened. Okay, so a large number of amphibians are threatened with extinction. And what are the threats? Threats are, for example, habitat loss, the forest decline, the land degradation, etc., climate change, diseases, particularly this disease, chytridiomycosis. This is explicitly mentioned here because it is a fungal disease which is causing the harm to the amphibians. Fine. Then the fires, the forest fires due to the natural and man-made factors. Then invasive species, many times it happens that invasive species come and they disturb the environment, the mating environment of the native species. So this leads to the decline of native species and eventually leading to the decline, the threat to the native species, overexploitation, etc. Out of these threats, the other key highlight says that out of these threats, this is the most important. This is the biggest threat right now because it is around 90% of the threat. Rest of the threats are 10%. This is the major threat. Fine. So yes, these are the things which were highlighted in this particular assessment. No need to go in further detail. Fine. One more thing regarding the threat to amphibians in India, the mapping part, because this is naturally the biodiversity hotspot of India, the Western Ghats. So here the threat will also be higher. So you can see this is where the threat is. Fine. In case of India. Now, 2 species were there who were, which were explicitly mentioned. So I tried to incorporate them as well. One being this, the resplendent bush frog. Now, it is a critically endangered species. Fine. and I have told you that critically endangered species are very important for you for your exam. Fine. So they are found in, again, Western Ghats as discussed. Fine. And they have a bright color, and they are mostly seen in the month of monsoon. Fine. So that is all you need to keep in mind. Another special species, this was actually in the cover page of this study. This particular species is known as galaxy frog. Fine. As you can see, the name is quite apt here because the species looks like a galaxy. This species is vulnerable and it is also found in your Western Ghats. So these basics you just keep in mind. Fine. I hope today's concepts, because today's concepts are important, you have absorbed, you have learned them carefully. Just in case if there is any doubt on which you need more elaboration, you can let us know in the comments section.